Hey there, fourth graders. Last mini lesson on comparing fractions, and it's kind of a weird one. It's called Fraction Comparisons That Don't Make Sense. So please write that as the next title in your math notebook. Mark your page with your pencil, close it up, and when you're ready to go, unpause and just concentrate with me on the idea. So we've been talking about comparing fractions for quite a while. Lots of strategies. We did kind of the longer fraction bar was one strategy. We did like farther on the number line as another strategy. We did partition the drawings so both fractions have same denominator. We did what else did we do? We did one where more and less than 1/2 was another strategy. And let's see, what else did we do? So I think that's it. And those are all great strategies, and I just want to make sure you're not so good at comparing fractions that you compare fractions when it doesn't make sense. Let me explain what I mean. Let's look at a question like this. Mr. Bullock and Dr. Dobler had an eating contest. Dr. Dobler ate 3/5 of a large pizza. Mr. Bullock ate 7/10 of a medium pizza. Who ate more pizza? If you get too into the math here, you're like right away, like, oh, okay, I see two fractions. Who ate more? That means I'm going to compare 7/10 and 3/5. And I know that 3/5 is 6/10 if I partition it. 7/10 is more than 6/10. So who ate 7/10? Mr. Bullock ate more. Right? If you get so caught up in the math that you don't think about the situation, that's what you would do. But keep in mind, in this problem, I ate more of a large pizza. Mr. Bullock ate more of a medium pizza. Doesn't necessarily make sense to do this in this situation because we're not even talking about the same size pizza. Right? Comparing fractions only makes sense when you're comparing the same thing. Or you're comparing the same whole. Because here, if we look at, I ate the large pizza 3/5, if I were to, you just want to imagine it. Cut that into fifths, and I ate 1, 2, 3. Mr. Bullock's was in tenths. Not really my best drawing ever went to. Yeah, you get the idea. He ate like 7/10. And like you can't compare that. They're not the same size pizza. They're not the same whole. So really, using math to compare these, using fractions to compare things, we would say this is not a valid comparison. It just does not make sense to compare fractions when they're not comparing the same thing. And that's really the main situation you're going to run into where they don't make sense. It's just kind of, we can't, just because Mr. Bullock's fraction was bigger, well, my pizza was bigger, so I might have eaten more than him even though my fraction was smaller because my pizza was bigger. We don't really know. So we would just say this is not a valid, not a good comparison. Okay? All right, open your math notebook. Let's look at another one like this so that you can write it down. All right, on Monday, Dr. Dobler biked 3/4 of the way to school before he needed a break. On Saturday, he rode halfway to Stone Mountain before he needed a break. on which day did he ride farther before he needed a break. So again, if you just look right at this, you're like, oop, 2 fractions farther, I just need to compare the fractions. You would just say, well, 3/4 is greater than 1/2. So on the school day was better. Right? That's what you would want to say. School day was farther. But that's not necessarily true, because I'm not comparing the same thing. I mean, if you want to know some distances here, when I bike to school, you know, I'm biking like 3.5 miles. When I bike to Stone Mountain, I'm biking like 11 miles. Right? So I'm not comparing the same rides. So it doesn't make sense. So we would just say, not a valid comparison. Or, you know, not comparing the same whole. Just can't do it. I can't just look at the fractions and know it. And we said the 3/4 one was longer. If you actually want to know, don't write this down. I'll change colors. Put your pencil down after you wrote this. You know, if you think about riding 3/4 of the way to school, that's here. Halfway to Stone Mountain is here. That half is way longer than the 3/4 of the school. So this wouldn't have even been right to begin with. So I'm not comparing the same thing. But even if you didn't know the distances, even if you hadn't seen this at all, it wouldn't matter. The answer would be the same. Just say, I don't know. I can't tell which one's bigger because I'm not comparing the same bike rides. I'm not comparing the same routes. I'm not comparing the same things. So once in a while, fraction comparisons don't make sense because you're not comparing the same whole. Once you've got this written down and you feel like you understand it and you feel like you're up to speed, you're all set. And I'll see you tomorrow.